Good afternoon. My name is Sherry Bailey. Today my video is on ethical decision making. In our assignment, it asked us about a time when we were a patient advocate. So there was a time while I was working on the med-surg unit that a nurse actually came to work intoxicated. She was a night shift nurse, and I gave a report to her on some of my patients. At first, I was kind of skeptical because I had only been working there for like 2 years. She had been there for at least 20 years. She was a seasoned nurse, really good at her job too. So obviously, at first I was like, is she really drunk? But then as report went on, I was on the last patient. I said, no, like, she's definitely drunk at work. There was no doubt in my head. So after I gave report, I actually left, and then I called the charge nurse from my car, and I told her what I thought. Obviously, I was a little nervous to tell someone because I had only worked there, like I said, for 2 years, and she had been there way longer than me with way more experience. And, that's a big deal. So I did decide, though, in the end that reporting the situation was the safest for the patients. If something had actually happened because she had made a mistake because she was drunk, I don't think I would have ever been able to forgive myself. The charge nurse did hear me out. I did ask her not to tell anyone who reported it, just in case, I was crazy and I was wrong. I would have hated to have, like, that drama at work. Nurse bullying is a real thing, so I definitely didn't want any, like, negative work environment to come from that. She told me that she did understand, that she would look into it. I actually ended up going on maternity leave after that, so I never really got the details of what happened, but whenever I came back, I did hear that she was fired because she was drunk at work. What they told me was that it wasn't the first time it had happened, apparently. So, the legal ramifications in that situation, I think that really they could have been a lot worse. Had the nurse hurt a patient while intoxicated, the patient or the patient's family could have sued. They could have taken some type of legal action anyways on the nurse and possibly even the hospital. Thankfully, they were able to catch her ahead of time and put a stop to her coming to work drunk like that. So I'm not 100% sure if the ethics committee was involved in the situation. However, in most other situations, they are involved. Ethics committees or similar institutional mechanisms offer assistance in addressing ethical issues that arrive in patient care and facilitate sound decision-making that respects participants' values, concerns, and interests. They evaluate situations and look into why they happened and how they can prevent further incidents from happening in the future. So, I'm sure they were involved. I'm just not exactly sure of the role they played. In this situation, though, the role of the nurse manager was to evaluate the situation for herself, then remove the nurse from the situation, and then report it to her officials. And that's exactly what she did. She told me she would look into it. She went to the nurse, assessed her herself to see what she thought, and removed her and reported it and all of that. So, there are a couple of decision-making models that can be used by nurse managers in order to improve decision-making skills. One of the models I looked at was called the OODA loop. Both models were pretty easy and straightforward. But this one, OODA, it stands for Observe, Orient, Decide, and Act. The majority of those stages kind of speak for themselves. Observe, decide, and act, they're exactly what they sound like. The second stage, though, the orient part, means that you need to orient yourself correctly with the information at hand in order to make a good decision. So make sure that you're gathering all your information. First, observing the situation, gathering all your information, making sure that you know exactly what's going on. Then make a decision as to what you think is happening, and then act on that decision. So, another model that could be used all the time, really, is the recognition primed decision model. The steps to this model are to experience the situation, analyze the situation, and to implement the decision. In the first step, you should try to take in or experience the situation that needs to be solved. You need to be sure that you have all the information available from both sides, all parties involved, or you won't be able to make a clear decision. Listening is the best thing you can do at this stage. Analyzing the situation is next. So once you've listened to all parties, gotten all the information you can get, then you need to look at everything and clearly make a decision based on what you think. Both of these models are very simple to follow and can help managers make better decisions. So overall, in this situation, I do think that my manager and the other officials that were involved came to the right decision. As hard as it is to, accuse someone, a seasoned nurse with many years of experience of something like that, and as hard as it is for them to evaluate and fire someone who had been there for so long, I do think it's what's best for the patients. I mean, it's really all about patient safety, and I think it was what's best in the end.